Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of the Flapcast. I am so not excited today. I am Barbara Holliday.
I'm Joshua Snyder.
And we really are Flapcast behind the scenes. We're going to let you in to some secrets today. If you really want to know what goes on behind the scenes at a comedy club. So, today, our headliner, who is scheduled for this Flapcast, canceled on us about 5 minutes ago. And this is what happens at a comedy club.
And now you're stuck with Dave Reinitz.
No, and what I want to tell the listeners is this is a very interesting topic because when someone like this cancels, and sometimes they do it on a weekend even,
Rarely.
We as a comedy club cannot say, hey, that shithead headliner just canceled on us, you know, blah, 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 and blast them all over creation, right? We have to basically fudge this. And
Why
we
did
have,
he cancel?
I don't know. Does it really matter?
Well, I'm just
you know,
curious.
Dog-ate the paperwork, homework,
Did he come up
dog-ate
with
is
a
set.
good
I don't know.
excuse? I mean, you
No,
know.
but listen, let me finish my thought.
Oscars, that's
my
fine.
thought.
Just don't interrupt.
The thing is, as a club, we can't bash the artist, right? Because that looks bad for everyone. So the typical response, what I need to tell our listeners today is, due to unforeseen circumstances, our headliner was unable to make it
But
due to circumstances out of his control.
Okay, well, stuff happens. in
But
personal
if I
life.
actually told you why, then people would say, you know, what? That's bullshit.
And you guys, and you
So
guys.
you don't like his excuse? Is that what you're saying?
I don't like any excuse. I think if you're a professional, I don't know how many of you have been in show business as long as I have, but you don't miss a show. That's all. When you schedule a show, the one thing that never gets canceled is a show. Unless, I did have a friend once, this is horrible, who actually was murdered and wasn't able to make the show.
And he would have killed.
That he would have
Wait
killed.
a minute. Wait. So how?
True story. True story.
What was the show?
But if
It
we're
was a
honest-
musical. So
What character was he or she playing?
I don't know, but it
The Phantom of the
might have been a
Opera.
murder mystery.
Oh no!
No, I'm just saying it's.
Was
it
the
is-
understudy the first suspect?
But the Flapcast guests are unpaid, right? We're not paying them. Are we paying them to be here?
Dave? God, we feed and drink them. And they get to promote.
This is
I'm
their
not saying it's not a wonderful
They get to
opportunity.
promote their upcoming shows.
Right,
here
but
at
this is, they
Flappers.
got a money
But
gig.
this is interesting because both Barb and I.
Wait,
come
let's
up-
introduce Dave Reinitz.
Hi,
Who our
everybody.
listeners don't even. Okay, my partner, Dave Reinitz, who didn't introduce himself.
I
All
did.
right,
I said
he's
I'm
here.
Dave Reinitz.
He's bugging us, but yes.
I like that you always introduce them as your partner. That's an interesting term, partner.
Yes,
Is it partner?
domestic
I am-
partner, business
I
partner.
am her partner. We're here to podcast.
My annoying partner. There's that.
It's not appropriate.
I told
Sometimes
you
you
I am
introduce me
hot
as-
today. Let's
this is-
do this.
This is my main man lover, and that's always a little awkward too.
Oh God!
What about Bone Buddy? Is that too much too?
Oh my God!
That's not appropriate,
You have to
John.
have sex first, Dave.
Let's go.
Oh, whoa!
Next on the Flapcast.
You know, I will jump into this though. Dave and I have been partners for a long time, and you know, when we first started, we hated each other, and we still do. But it was really hard to work with each other at first.
I thought it was easier then than it is now. Although you were good today because I took a stand that made you have to cancel a show that you weren't happy with and you didn't yell at me.
Anyway.
I appreciate that.
It is interesting, though, that a lot of people in our business do not know that Dave and I are actually in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's because we don't act like it. No, but it's in a professional setting, we try and remain professional.
Right.
Get your hand off my knee. Jesus. Sorry. In a professional, you know, we try and operate like professionals at work.
It's
But
cool the way she calls me Jesus. It's because of my abs. I got the sweet Jesus abs.
hashtag hot Jesus, Dave
Oh, my
Reinitz.
gosh.
This is getting weird. So, but it's a kind of an interesting point because do you think it helps people take us seriously if they know we're in a relationship, or do you think
I don't
that
care.
it's
I don't know. I don't think it matters.
I mean, yeah, it's interesting
think
that
so.
we are. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know, we got a good band.
But
going.
sometimes when I tell people, I go, you know, Dave and I, and they're like, really? Like, why would you pick him? You know, like that.
That's not true. Why are you being so
And of
mean?
course I respond, well, you know, he's good at the dishes. It is true. And he's a great cook. There are lots of great things, and he does bring me flowers every day. I do have
Not
to
just
say.
any flowers, not
He
shitty supermarket.
handpicks
I
flowers
handpick flowers that
and
I
brings
grow
them.
specifically.
Yes.
Pretty much year round, there's at least a couple of tones of flowers that are ripe and ready to be picked, specifically because I planted them.
But here's the real behind the
The bomb.
scenes. Here's the behind the scenes information.
She makes coffee every morning, which is awesome.
And okay, he interrupts me. That's the behind the scenes information.
Sometimes naked.
Wait, you interrupt her naked, or she makes coffee for you naked?
Both.
Both. Okay.
So the interesting thing is when we go home, everyone thinks, you know, oh, it must be so great, you know, talking about comedy all the time and stuff. And we do talk comedy a lot. We write jokes.
Yeah.
And we spin stuff off each other. But we do also talk a lot about employees,
And
guests,
all the bullshit.
comedians,
The bullshit.
and the bullshit. That
Well,
goes
something
on.
that I want to go back to earlier is that both Barb and I come from theater, and there's a weird, you know, there's especially people who come in who are trained in theater. Like, it doesn't matter if you're getting paid or not. It's you're a professional. You show up on time. You act and I feel like when I came into the world of stand-up, there's so many comedians who don't get that, who have.
Do you know I was in the Leave It to Beavers Comedy Festival in Chicago. Actually, that's not what it was called. It was called Leave It to Divas, but I changed it. It was a comedy festival in Chicago, and this is no joke. Dave can attest to this. I literally ripped my big toenail off.
Yeah, she opened the door over her toe
A wooden
and ripped
door,
her whole toenail off.
And I
She's good
still
with her feet.
went on stage. I went on stage
How'd
and
that go
I
for
did
you?
stand up. Well, Cheryl Hines was judging, and she said I was horrible. And I was like, you bitch, you didn't rip off your fucking toenail, you know? Look at me, I'm doing stand up. And
With 9 out of 10 toenails.
it was
It's like the Guantanamo stand-up show.
good example though, right? I mean, I didn't
Yes.
let it,
But you were in Chicago
Right.
specifically for that.
well, okay. But I mean, would everyone do that? I don't think so.
But I feel like even, you know, if there's a situation, I think Dave's point is, you know, there's unpaid. If something bigger comes along.
Oh, wait
there's
a
some-
minute.
You know.
Yeah, let's get into this. Okay, so if it's not paid, it's not important?
That's not what I
Okay,
said. That's
okay.
not what I said. But occasionally comics have said, hey, I got a corporate gig, I'm going to make multiple thousands
That's
of dollars.
a different story.
So I'm no longer able to honor this date.
Money does outweigh, but that's not what we're talking about here.
And if you do it in advance with enough time for the club to deal with
Sure.
it, that's another thing too. But if it's like the day before, you know,
Yeah.
or the day of.
But it's really rare that on the day of you're going to get a
It's also-
corporate event that pays you
But it's
thousands
also
of
very
dollars.
rare that a headliner cancels without a lot of notice.
Well, we can talk about one way early on.
Well, he just forgot.
Okay, so
we had a feature that
first-
forgot too. Remember the feature that forgot?
Yeah, see,
Just
he
forgot.
says there's nothing, and then it just starts
Well, but
coming
it's
out.
4 years. One
Hey.
feature forgot that
Well,
she was booked.
I'm going to name names.
And you forgive
I'm
me.
going to name names. That's what people want to hear.
They want to hear names.
No, the first month we opened,
Person
2010, it was a Friday night, and I'm still a college agent, so I was actually at a conference with our client, Sam Conroe, booking some comedy, making some money, and I'm in like Pennsylvania, you know, at a bar, having a good time, having a martini, and I get this frantic call and text. It's a Friday night, 8 o'clock, like 3 weeks into us opening the club,
It was late.
and they're going, "Where is our headliner?" I'm like,
Is this the Brandon T. Jackson
Brandon
story?
T. Jess, right? That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I think it was more later. Wasn't it 2011? It was 2010.
No, Dave, it was the first month we were open.
No.
Man, he's optimistic.
No.
Anyway,
How long have you guys been together, Dave?
too long.
How many years?
18 years.
8.
Ooh,
I
he
did the math.
changes it
I did the
all
math.
the time.
No, but that's the honest math.
No, so in your joke you say
We started dating
six years, then it's 12 years, then it's 4. It kind of depends on, you know, how much you
I'm
like
not
me
talking
that
about
night.
jokes.
Basically.
I'm just talking about
Right.
calendars. It's been 18 years.
All right. It has been 18 years.
18
18
years.
long fucking years.
How long have we
wait,
lived together?
good question. Since 2000.
14 years, correct. So that's easy to remember.
Yeah, it was the millennium,
Yeah.
and we did not die. We thought we were going to die, so we got together. We're like, hey, let's live together, and then luckily we didn't. We didn't die. We're
Did you
still
make
here.
passionate love on December 31st, just in case?
No, but we did.
In a penthouse at
Treasure
Island. It's a
Island.
really swanky penthouse.
Yes.
Yeah.
My cousin's kind of a high roller guy, and he actually did have the penthouse suite at
Yeah.
Treasure Island on the New Year's Eve 2000. It was
Yeah.
a great, great fun time. It was, and everyone thought they were going to die, so everyone was just doing every crazy thing you could possibly imagine. In the streets, there were tons of people.
Like, for instance?
Yes, exactly.
Naked, streaking. We saw streakers out there
remember seeing
running
streakers.
across the street. Yep, and people were wearing weird clothes and.
It was weird clothes. That's what
I
you do
saw
in
someone
the
trash.
century. You put on your weirdest clothes.
Yeah, they trashed a computer and there were all kinds of. I saw someone throw a laptop
Because you
down.
remember the Y2K. They thought all the computers were going to stop and the power would turn off.
Back in the day.
Back then, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was. That was the year everything.
So we got
was,
2 cases of water and we got naked and we survived.
We had some canned foods,
Had some
canned
canned
goods.
foods.
Wanted to make sure we were stocked up.
Yeah.
Did you have stone fruit as well?
There was some stone fruit. Yeah.
I was right. This is a total segue, but the funniest, there were 2 headliners who specifically asked recently that they wanted peaches in their act, and this was in December, and Dave,
In the rider.
100% serious, is like, who asks for stone fruit in December?
No, I said, what kind of a barbarian asks for stone fruit in December? Because you're not going to get a quality fruit. It's so out of season, it's just going to be horrible.
That stuck in my mind. I never heard the term stone fruit used before.
Stone fruit is a peach or an apricot or a plum that has a large.
Okay, so back to the Brandon T. Jackson part. What did we do? So imagine on a Friday night, we have the house full. Everyone's expecting to see a particular headliner. And by the way, what happened was, it wasn't totally Brandon's fault, only we didn't know that at the time, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So we can't, again, we can't slam the artist.
We don't know
because,
who did it.
Yeah, you don't know what really happened.
But a ball
so
got dropped.
we just had to say, due to circumstances out of his control, he was not able to make it tonight, But the
forgot to
audience
write down the
was furious. Furious. Like the people who paid for tickets.
They were okay.
They wrote letters on Yelp saying we were a fraud and that
There
we were
was
misrepresenting.
one letter, but overall people were good because we had other people
Mr.
that stepped in and did a
Positive.
great. Oh, I was here.
So
You were in
now
Pennsylvania.
who stepped in and saved the day? Who
Moranzio Vance.
Moranzio Vance did one
Actually.
night, and then Jackson McQueen did the next night.
Okay.
And it was great. They're both wonderful
They were
comedians.
amazing.
And so,
yeah.
listen, at the end of the day, people are out to have a good time. They
Yeah.
like to see the name that's on the marquee that we tried to put in front of them. But as long as we deliver a fun show and we don't spill drinks on them, they're fine.
Right.
And it was a great show.
Yeah. But
We
it
didn't
was
spill drinks the
it
whole
was a
weekend.
good lesson early on too, and I did definitely have a different methodology in when it comes to booking comics, I think, than other clubs. Like, I really don't mind if they cancel in a professional manner. Like if there's enough time for me to get somebody else.
What is
Right,
enough
like,
time for you?
Like,
would you say?
Yeah.
Jimmy Schubert had to cancel one of his
Oh,
dates on his weekend.
no
He's got a
big
great
deal.
reason. He's got a big gig. It's a big career opportunity.
But
and, you know.
a major network television show involving
Right.
comedy in which there's people not sitting down.
So it's a nice opportunity for him.
Yes.
And so, of course, we support him 100%. He gave us plenty of
Yeah,
notice. and-
no big deal.
Yeah.
Actually, and what is a reasonable amount of time? Not the day of, not an hour before, not
Not
you
I
just-
forgot.
right, or
Gotcha.
not. I have something better, or because if we do find out that you're
Well-
doing something better, it's awful.
Well, it
That's
depends
just
on
tell the
how
truth.
much better it is. And you got to tell us this is this much better.
Yeah, tell the truth.
Right.
But
like
money
I'm on
gigs.
television or I'm getting a check. that
Yeah,
if I
money
make a
gigs
call.
always outweigh. But I was saying so my methodology is definitely go for the money. I mean, if you get a better gig than what we're offering, I don't mind as long as you tell us in advance and we can book someone else because we are in Southern California
So
with a
there
lot
it
of
is.
great
Who,
headliners.
There it
who
is.
is the nicest comic you work with?
Ooh, the nicest
If
comic.
you had to pick one in terms of professionalism and
There are so many, actually. That is really hard to pick. But of course, we're huge fans of Jimmy Dore.
Jimmy Dore's a great comic.
Jimmy
totally
Dore.
professional.
Has a new book coming out. Check that out. Called.
Called
that
Your
the
Country's
title?
Just Not That Into You.
That's right.
And you can also
Yes.
catch him on the Jimmy Dore Show, KPFK.
Yep.
And on
And
the Young Turks.
with us in June.
And with
I
us here
think.
in June.
And July. June in Claremont. July here.
and here's another
And
interesting thing I want
he's
to
a
point
pro.
out. Another interesting thing, like we have Ryan Sickler here in the Yoo-Hoo room,
Right.
and what I think what people don't like, he really nice guy, totally professional. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah.
And so I work in the office during the day, and I mentioned that to both of you. Hey, this guy is really great, very funny,
And
totally
we listen to
professional.
you.
Right.
And exactly, and I think a lot
Josh
of comedians
has another crush on a man.
pretty much, essentially. Yeah, he's too
Stop
masculine.
it.
I did something.
Well, everyone at the club matters.
He doesn't exfoliate enough for me,
Oh.
but that's not the point.
You got to know him quite well.
But what, and this is something even I learned too, where if I walk into a situation and I'm rude to somebody, I have no idea who that person is. If that person's the assistant of the club owner, they're like, hey, Josh was a total asshole. That's it for me. That could be a burned bridge.
Yes.
I think people don't realize how, the walls really do have ears in a comedy club.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're not, another thing we really look for is like our servers and our bar staff and even managers. We have one here, Bobby Rice, who might come up and talk with us for a minute.
William whenever the headliner's here, William has the most extensive collection of comic paraphernalia, T-shirts, DVDs, CDs of anybody you'll ever meet. He's got like over 1,000 different pieces.
And they're always falling off the wall where we live.
There you go. Every time a headliner comes in, at the end of his weekend, William will go up with money in his hand to purchase the merch. And it's always an interesting moment, whether or not the headliner, just because William's been working his ass off running the club and has a relationship with these headliners, is making sure that all their needs are taken care of, and that's his responsibility.
He's gotten them food and drink after drink after drink.
With them, he's got their parking spot for. There's a relationship that's been developed, and so it's always interesting at the end of the weekend whether or not the headliner gives him the merch or charges
or
him for
sells
it.
him.
Yeah, that's always interesting. And most just give it to him and sign it and are incredibly generous and gracious.
But
the funniest ones are the ones that often give him half off. Those are the ones that make me laugh. You just made $5 grand or $10 grand over the course of the weekend.
It's usually the ones who make
a
lot of money.
It's funny. It's really funny. Some do, some don't.
Not all the top billers, but some of the top billers. Isn't that a funny thing? And all it is just, it's definitely something that they could give easily. But I was saying about the bar staff and the wait staff and everything, it comes back to us that, hey, the guy was good, but, he was an asshole to the servers, stiffed the servers, or was just hanging out in the bar, brought his friends in, and, the group gangbangs of drinking is always not a good thing. What? Let me explain it.
It's pretty free-rolling use of the term gangbang.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
Comics will sometimes come in and be like, hey, my whole entourage is here, and then
there was one comic that took $400 worth of food to go because he had a comp tab, and it was like everybody and his brother had chicken.
And now if we don't give it, right, we look like assholes.
No, we'll always honor that. We tell them we have comp privileges.
But see, what we're saying, if you're listening, comics, is don't abuse the privilege.
And that's the other thing. That's the other thing I want to point out too. Working in the office, watching the two of you, deal with the comedy club business. I just want to reiterate to people listening that there is so much shit that the two of you have to eat from all conceivable sides. From the agents, sometimes from the performers who are testy. I mean, it really is. It's
not eating shit though. It's just business. The cost of doing business. Any business you're in, you can deal with some people that are great and supportive and kind, and some people that are dicks, and we just deal with it.
But I think what people always mistake about when you own a business is they think that you're like rich and millionaires and at the top of the totem pole.
They make an assumption about what you're getting out of the operation. That's
false.
For us, it's totally false.
Well, for a lot of business owners,
can I tell them how much money we make?
Oh, I don't care.
We make $2,000 a month each. That's our salary.
Well, we didn't until about 3 months ago.
Right, but that's what we make. We've been making that for about a year now. We've been
let's just say we qualified for Covered Care California.
Yeah, but
let's just say that. All right.
That's a nice broad program that many people qualify for.
But the point about that is we haven't always taken that salary. We're 4.5 years in now, and the thing is we have to.
But we also eat for free, and we run certain expenses that you can through the business.
Okay, we live in a house with no heat.
Our heater's been broken for 2 years.
Let's just and we don't. But you know what?
But we don't want for anything.
My point about it was that people assume that because you're the owner of a business that you make a lot of money, but that is not always true. In fact, most business owners will tell you what they do is they keep putting money back in the business. It's constantly, how can we grow this? How can we change it? Because you get to a point, you have to bring on more people to help you.
Right.
And as Dave and I both believe that you're only as good as the people around you, the team of people that work here are the key to the success of Flappers. The comedians are the key. And so we have to keep all of them happy first. We're kind of last, to be honest. We do. We take it last.
You're the captain of the enterprise, really. That's what you are.
Yeah, I don't see that analogy at all.
like the
Beam me up, Scotty.
He's got a pension. He's got union.
Yeah.
You know,
And
well,
great outfits.
technically, in the 21st
Great
century,
outfits.
there's no money at all. It's like an egalitarian.
Right.
sort
Now
of
we
stance.
love
That's
trade.
why you know it's science fiction.
I will say that we do love trade. Trade is good. Like, we can trade gift cards for flappers with a hotel for a comic or something like that. Though it's amazing how much that doesn't happen nowadays. Like, it's really hard to get trade done.
Well, here's what I love about the trade concept is that we always get people wanting to sell us something, and as soon as I say we can't afford that, but we couldn't do a trade, then it gets them off the phone. It's like, I'll look into that, and then they hung
Yeah.
up.
Well, depending on who, the small businesses will be happy to trade.
Oh, small businesses are
Our
great.
plumber's done some trade with us, and he's great, and so that works out for everybody. He's a comedy fan, so he wants to come out anyway, so it works out good.
Oh, sure. And we've had carpenters trade, and
So, who we have here that I did want to ask a few questions to, who hasn't been on the podcast yet, is one of our managers, Bobby Quinn Rice. You want to come up and join us for a little bit?
Cool. Why don't you grab that mic right there?
There you go.
Oh, perfect. So, hey, Bobby, what's
guys,
up?
how are
Welcome
you?
to our
Nice
podcast.
to see you again. It's been
So
a while.
I have a question that I think is a really important first question to start out with. Could you do your impression of Dave Reinitz, please?
Oh,
sure.
yes, perfect.
Fruit in December. There's so much fruit. All these napkins hanging out. This is unnecessary. You can't get a good peach in December. That's all I'm saying. It's a stone fruit. A stone fruit. A stone fruit's one of the solids. Obamacare, it's a great program. It really is.
That's
Do
not,
me,
that's
do me.
not even close.
That was perfect.
That's just
He's
not,
he's lowering his voice right
wrong.
now.
No, the voice is wrong. The language is wrong.
It's a
the
characterization.
metaphors are
It's a
wrong.
characterization.
Not even close.
Do me.
No, do an impression of her. That's not appropriate.
Yes. Do me. Can you do me? You don't have me down?
I don't have you down.
Do
Like,
Josh.
Josh, Well, I know Josh is stand up. No, I'm a virgin and a Jew. I guess that's apparent. I'm from Colorado. But Jews don't ski, so.
Bobby's a good comedy club manager.
Hey,
Thank you. Yeah, not a good mimic
But
sometimes,
impressions
but
are not your thing.
no. Hey. Let me tell you, Bobby Rice
Don't listen to a
here
word he says.
thank you.
has auditioned for SNL. And,
Yeah, they're taped audition. Yes.
Right, and it does sketch comedy, improv
Thank you,
comedy, and
But never stand up.
television commercials. No stand-up.
Yes, I've not done stand up actually. Just ironically, I have a show tomorrow at the Cupcake Theater in Hollywood, an improv show, and one on March 20th at the Groundlings.
Way to go.
A little shameless self-promotion. But yeah, I just got involved with it, fell in love with it, and write sketch, do a lot of improv-based stuff around the LA area, and I want to do the open mic, I just don't have time. Honestly, when I'm not here, I'm down in Hollywood doing improv or writing sketch. So
There are some stand-ups that look down upon improv.
someone recently called,
And by some, we mean all.
most all, yes indeed. Someone called us the Mormons of comedy. Which I thought was really funny because we're kind of goody two shoes. We like all hang out. We're predominantly
you're
Caucasian.
very
and,
niche-y.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Even between the different Groundlings and IO and Second City and UCB, lots of little groups and they're all wonderful, but tend to stick together.
And then often an improv artist will get up and just think they can do stand-up, and that is really painful.
Well, I thought when I started working here, I would see a lot more crossover, and I'm sure I'll see lots of people. And it's very few and far between.
Yeah.
I don't see a lot of stand-ups doing improv once in a while, and I don't see a lot of improvisational actors come up here and do stand-up.
Because we're proud and you're scared.
Ouch! Burn.
All right. So, but here's a good question for you.
Yes.
I remember Dave and I struggled big time when we thought about flappers and hiring people,
Mm-hmm.
and we were like, do we hire comics? Do we not hire comics?
And we
Generally,
make a policy. And then there were a couple
Yes.
of comics that we knew would want jobs that we didn't want to hire. So then we had a policy that we weren't going to hire comics.
our other manager,
they went
William
away.
Nickerson, is a stand-up
Well,
comic,
yes,
and he's
very
also
good.
an amazing manager.
Mhm.
And Bobby, I guess my question for you is, do you think that working here is helping your career, or do you get jealous seeing other people on stage? Does it make you want to do stand-up? I'm curious, like, from your side.
It's broadened my respect for stand-up comedians. I get to kind of differentiate now, seeing what I think works, for certain comics, and get to see them grow. A lot of our house comics, I've seen them just develop and get a lot better. but I don't see it as something that I have a big drive for. But I think it has helped me. I don't know, just doing improv for probably, I'm on 8 years now, so I'm much more comfortable not being nervous getting on stage, comfortable in trusting that I know what to do and that the group knows what to do and that they're going to be okay. And certain elements I think I've probably taken away from stand-up. I don't know if I can identify those, but...
How many, I've got a question.
What
I've got a
else?
question. How many members of the improv troops that you've been with over the years have you slept with?
Oh!
You're talking about girls,
listening?
right? You're
That's
talking
not
about girls?
Let's let the list go on.
I think Josh made a pass at you just
I
now.
did.
I have an actual question.
We are sitting on a couch for the
I have
listeners
an
here,
actual
Josh and I.
question.
That's an actual
Which
question.
is,
5%.
of all of the, having done improv for many years, how many of the improv people that you've worked with have dabbled in or also done stand-up?
Very few. I see my buddy Paul Benton come here. He's going to be doing
Oh,
a show
yeah,
with me.
Paul's-
Yeah, and Paul has tried variations of character-based stand-up, which I know some comedians love, some frown upon, but I think he wanted to get her to try it. I see Josh Dubois from Iowa West. He comes in once in a while. I saw he did the Uncle Clydes recently. That I've worked with personally, again, it's
But just as a ballpark percentage.
Oh, ballpark, maybe 5%.
5%?
It's that low.
One out of 20?
I think a part of it, improv.
Wow.
Improv is because before I did stand up, I did improv for a little while.
That's
Improv,
confession
I think,
time.
is very hard to do, and I think to do both well. I mean, I think
They're different mindsets.
Oh, absolutely.
You've got to. I mean, the comics are doing the open mics every day to get better. I mean, the improv guys, you have to do shows as much as possible.
Well, yeah,
I
and
would
it's that
imagine.
stage experience. It's that developing that craft of basically just listening and responding. I mean, just remembering the basics and really having those as a solid foundation for your work. And I think both kind of blend into great writing in different ways. I mean, if you're not into improv and don't get into sketch at one point, or just jot down your ideas, or get a structural idea of how a scene breaks down, you're probably doing something wrong, or at least it should come on down the road. And I think for comics too, it's interesting seeing how when we get on stage, we're basically writing our own material as we go.
Yeah.
And just like anything else, sometimes you get off and go, oh, that didn't work. And sometimes you're like, wow, that was freaking great.
No.
And
Yeah.
both kind of bleed into better writing. Just it's developing your craft.
Well, here's an interesting tidbit that I bet a lot of people don't know, but Bobby actually did. The club does help in some ways, and do you want to tell him what that is? Mr. Ted Bender.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it's weird.
Kinda cool.
Barb has known Ted for a long time, and Ted Bender works with Principato Young, a fantastic management company out here in Los Angeles. And this summer I was doing a sketch show with Todd Milliner, one of my good friends, and co-owner of Hazy Mills Productions, and we did it in Celebration Theater in Hollywood. And Ted had come to see my buddy John, and liked both myself and John. I wrote good portions of the sketches, and he took an interest in me. He came into the club, I think, to judge a
Uncle
Clyde's.
Clyde's. And was reminded.
He mentioned me,
Yes.
did he not? About he
Yes.
saw this handsome young guy with sculpted abs down in
Yes.
Hollywood.
Right
Who
next to
He
is
does
that
fantastic
guy?
impersonation of Dave, and
Signed him immediately.
signed him immediately. But he knew Barb, and it's just one of those things. It certainly didn't hurt my case. Ted's a
Right.
wonderful manager and gets me out there, and
Yeah.
is a great support. And yeah,
And that is how it all happens. A
Sure.
lot of people feel like that might be nepotistic, but it's actually not.
That's
You're
just the way,
extremely
that's the
talented.
way it is, though.
Yeah,
You
Right.
see somebody
You know
and you're
people-
reminded.
Is nepotistic a word?
Nepotistic is a word.
It is a
Grow
word.
up, Josh. Grow
So,
up.
because I know nepotism, but is nepotistic the?
I think it's about tides and
It's
the
the
moon.
active of
It's King Neptune.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Yes, planet of the
Exactly.
ocean.
Barb makes up a lot of words. That's not
Hey, they're awesome.
My favorite is monetize.
Monetize. That
monetize.
is,
I know.
but I say monetize.
That's correct.
Hey, radiator, whatever. If you're from New York, you can say whatever you want.
As long as people understand what you're saying.
Well,
it's
they
like,
do, Dave. Clearly.
Well.
So.
I like to
I don't
throw
have-
things in that start arguments.
Right.
Oh yeah,
It's fun.
Yes,
Thank
let's
you.
not argue in
We're
front
not
of our
arguing.
listeners.
You're the one that's
okay?
arguing.
Do we
I'm
have
just
to go
talking on
into
the
this?
podcast.
Right. Shall we go into our old Jewish couple voices? See if anyone likes to listen to that. Huh?
Oh, here they go again, these two. Always the arguments they are.
One time on the way back from Vegas, we
I'm offended by
literally,
all of this.
oh my God, for 4 hours we did old Jewish couple in the car on the way back from Vegas.
Yeah, she picked up this Jewish couple.
And we were basically,
That was a crazy Treasure Island weekend.
What are you doing to those
Jeez.
people?
You don't want to
The
hear.
world's gonna end. Let's just pick up this kinky
Crying
Jewish
out loud,
couple
would you
and
shut up? Really?
Punch it up. We're gonna punch it up. It's fun.
Oh, okay. This is so awesome. Well, Bobby, thank you so much for joining
thank
us.
you,
We
guys.
hope you'll be with us for a long, long time.
me as well.
He is an awesome manager and performer.
But we
and-
hope you get discovered, and then so that
Well,
Well,
that's what I
thank you
mean.
very much, guys.
Yes.
Absolutely. I'll always be around Flappers.
And you're welcome on our
Flappers
stage
talk to me.
anytime.
Well, thank you very much.
Well,
yes,
if you
and.
write an act.
Oh, if I write an act?
Yeah, just write 3 minutes. Do an audition. You should set it as a goal.
pushing
I've been
you to
writing
stand
a
up.
bunch of stuff, and part of that is something I am writing. Is just jotting down thoughts and ideas,
There you go.
stuff that I find interesting that
Great.
I'll work out at open mic.
And we have
sometime.
an upcoming stand-up comedy intensive this Saturday.
Oh,
you're-
March
This
8th,
Saturday,
actually.
March 8th at 11 o'clock. You're welcome to attend.
Highly recommend.
It's a freebie.
Yes, and if you're listening, it's only $49 if you want to
Boom.
come and pay for it.
That's a sweet deal.
Yeah, and you actually get to see all of us in action. You get Shannon Gettins, who's the dean of our university. She teaches the beginning class. Joni Coyote, who teaches our intermediate. Dave Reinitz teaches advanced stand-up. And then Sarah Cravens, our
Oh, she's
improv.
good friend of mine from the
Yeah,
Growling. She's
she-
a wonderful,
She
wonderful
teaches
performer
improv
in
for us.
person.
And then
Yes,
I
yeah.
do a little business.
when you say
stuff
she's a
at the
wonderful
end.
person, that means you've slept with her, right?
Oh no.
Oh, my
that,
God.
that one I can say no. She's a good friend, and her
Josh,
boyfriend
why
Daniel
is
would beat me up.
everything...
He's obsessed today. All right.
is!
Because I live vicariously through other people. That's why.
Right. Well,
All right.
I'll
well,
let you read my diary sometime, Josh.
Thanks,
It's full of nasty, nasty information.
Let's get to our punch it up segment. We
All
have
right,
a
thanks for having
comic
me on.
here. Thanks, Bobby.
Thank
you.
And we'll pass on that mic. We have an amazing comedian.
Nice job with the applause.
Yes,
Nice
very
job.
good.
is
That
right.
was very fake,
That's
but
right.
very nice. So, who's coming to the stage
This
for
is
us?
Brandon Scott Keller, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, hello.
And the punch it up segment is we're going to give Brandon some feedback when he's done. So
Yeah.
that's
Can't
how it
wait.
works. What do you say? Give it to us.
Yeah. Oh, here we go.
Give it up.
Gentlemen, Brandon.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I normally say that as a generalization. Thank you, though. Very specific tonight. You. I'm trying to brag here, but I met this gal, and I mean, I'm not saying she's a gold digger, but she did move to California in the 1850s with a curious amount of panning equipment. So, bitches be prospecting, huh? Okay. Not a big gold digger crowd tonight. So okay, I think I'm gonna make a good dad someday. That's what I keep telling my daughter. Dad is trying to convince her. I have a kid. She's a little 4-year-old. I'm from Utah. One of the things I did while I was there, I made a baby with an ex-girlfriend. That is just one of the things. Thank you. I mean, that's not all I did. I mean, I played volleyball and stuff too. But that was one of them. And yeah, it's how it goes if you haven't done this. Well, first of all, we had some unprotected sex sometimes. I'm going to say it. Okay, all right. I mean, I still highly recommend it. If I'm being honest. It's pretty good. But how it goes is you have an unhealthy relationship with a girl for about 1.5 years, and then you break up. And then you receive a picture text of a positive pregnancy test that says, we need to talk. And then you respond, okay, when I get back from the Utah Jazz game, we can talk. And then you proceed to have a super weird time at the Utah Jazz game. That's how you get a baby. Pretty selfish of her to ruin the Jazz game for me, if you ask me. Dropping that bomb. The talk doesn't go well. I will say that. I was just a young lad in college studying communications because I was not planning on taking care of myself in the future, let alone a child. That's another story. I want to say this. For a little bit after Utah, I lived in New York for a few years, and I dated a girl that was a virgin. I met a real life, full-grown woman virgin in New York,
woman.
right?
Glad you specified woman.
Yeah. I know, it's like, she was 12, so it would have been pretty slutty otherwise. But yeah, it's weird, like if I meet a virgin in Utah, it's like, hey, I met a girl in Utah. That's it. But in New York, that's kind of crazy. And basically we dated for 1 year. She was a virgin when we started dating and when we finished dating, which some people are like, oh bro, that sucks. I'm like, you know what, dudes? Maybe sex isn't that important when you're in love. with dry humping. I'm from Utah. I'm a marathon dry humper. That's what sex is in Utah. Like, if my friend growing up was like, "Did you bang that girl last night?" I'm like, "Yeah, man. I don't have to say I was wearing jeans because we know I was wearing jeans." That's what sex was. Go to my college campus. Everyone's jeans are just completely faded in the crotch because we're banging. I hear guys out here.
All right, time is up. Thank you so much. Thanks for playing.
Yeah, thank you.
It's like a game show all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Punch it up. Bring that mic over here.
All right.
Come chat with us. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks.
Well, come closer.
Oh, Mike, I'm good.
He sits on the
Sit
other
wherever
end.
you
It's
want.
so
Wherever you
awkward.
want.
All right.
How long you been doing comedy?
Over 3.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Like closer to 3, but you know what?
Right. Let's just
You're in great
give
shape.
us. Yeah, you're
thank
doing
you.
You're in
awesome.
great shape. And you know, and I've seen you a bunch of times at the auditions, and I'm a big fan if I've never expressed that.
Oh.
Your stage presence is great. You're loose. You write really nice jokes. You're comfortable. You know what I like is that I buy it that you're authentic. That there's not
Thank
a
you
lot
very
of
much.
bullshit. So.
Oh, that's great. I've wondered that. I look back at you and I'm like, what's he thinking?
Well, you know, listen, but you take it on like it's supposed to be taken on. You're not up here fucking around. You're up here and you got an act, and you got some jokes, and you're doing your jokes, and you're doing it properly. And so when I get frustrated is when comics come to the audition, they're just kind of, well, what am I going to talk about today? Now you're wasting everybody's time. You know, it's not the purpose of what we're doing. So.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think you're very handsome, of course.
Jeez. Thank you.
Josh is right
But I
there.
do recommend. I would recommend. I think you're missing out because you are on the cute side. I think you should dress it up just a little bit more. I mean,
Okay.
I'm the branding sort of
Right.
business side of this, and sometimes I see comics like you, who white male, that you kind of all have that same look of maybe you
Say
didn't
it.
care
They
about.
all look the same.
You look like you just got out of
racist.
bed, basically. No, I mean but like
No,
that
it's okay.
t-shirt, that
Yeah.
maybe
I get it.
if you've heard some of the other guests we've had on the podcast, like big headliners, they'll even say the same thing. You want to look like you at least came to do a show. It doesn't
Okay.
mean you have to wear a suit and tie. People always mistake that. It just means that you actually took the time.
What do you think
to-
about the hat?
I don't like hats either. I mean, but
this
that's,
shirt-
I wasn't going to go there, Dave, but now you say. The reason is people can't see your eyes.
Right.
It shades because of the lighting and stuff.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
totally kind of a technical thing, really. Not even, Dave used to wear a hat way early on, and I was always like, take off it, because you can't, people want to see, if you're having a conversation with someone, which is what stand-up really is, it's sort of, it's a separator of the conversation. It's kind of like
It
you're
hides you a little
hiding something.
Okay.
And so it takes away from a little bit of vulnerability.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a Braves hat.
But just some,
Okay.
physical suggestions. I also
No,
have
that's
joke
great.
ideas too, but
Okay.
yeah, you are a handsome guy, and I would take advantage of that. I think, that you know.
Does that also
like
mean
it.
clean shaven, for instance?
Well, I
versus-
don't know. I don't think that matters. I think you can have a beard if you want, but I'm just saying,
Well, listen, his look, I would argue just a little bit that I think your
Ugh,
look
of
fits
course
what
you
you're
would,
talking
Dave.
Well, it fits what he's
Yeah.
talking about.
No, it doesn't.
I think it does.
Okay.
He's wearing jeans. He's talking about dry humping and in jeans and from Utah, and he's a younger guy. I don't
Well, I sell comedians in the college
She
market,
does.
and you are have the look that could work in that market, but not like that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like they want to see a little bit more that you're,
He's very Jeff Keith.
Yeah, you are a little Jeff Keith, but that's.
I was actually thinking Jeff Dye, too, in terms of...
Yeah, but no, he is Brandon
How
Scott
old are you,
Keller.
Brandon?
I'm 30 actually.
Okay.
Sorry, I went
Actually.
for all that. You look young.
No,
you look young.
it's fine. This shirt is Hanes, so it is a brand name. But, for everyone out there that's
Way
wondering,
to go! Nice
but,
work.
no, I thank you
Yeah.
for that. That's great.
Just some thoughts.
Yeah, just a little bit of feedback just on the comedy.
Yes.
Which was really nice and really personal. So you do have a daughter.
Yes, I do.
And how old is your daughter?
She's 4.
Okay, perfect. And just when you're talking about it, you revert to a you perspective instead of an I perspective.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I think that it's more personal and vulnerable if you're talking from the I perspective.
Okay.
Like literally the jazz game. That's what I wrote.
Yeah.
When you talked about the jazz game and you said you pretend like you didn't enjoy the jazz game. If you would have just said, "And I really enjoyed the jazz game,"
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Or I pretended,
I pretended.
I had a tough time with the
Pretended.
jazz game. It ruined my
Right.
jazz game
I, me.
instead of from the you perspective.
Okay.
Because you were saying, and then this is what you do, and this is the way you are. As
But
opposed
I
to
don't
this is
do
the way
that.
I am, and this is the way I am.
Right. Okay.
Listen, it works.
Makes a big difference, I think. Yeah, but your jokes are solid, and you have a good point of view. And we know you're kind of the schlocky dad, you know? You're kind of, well, that's what you
Yeah.
at least in this set,
Yeah.
that's,
But what's nice is that your instincts are actually, your material's good, but your instincts are even better than your material, because you immediately dealt with the reality that you're playing to essentially one person in the audience. And you dealt with that and you incorporated into what was going on, so you were it made you completely present in the moment in terms of what was happening. That also made you present to the material that you were talking about.
I thought the gold digger joke was great up front. I would actually you could go right to that, you know. Don't be afraid of, a lot of comics think they need segues, you know.
Right.
I don't think you really think that, but I saw a little bit of that in the beginning, sort of, and I think you could just go right for that gold digger joke first. You know, it gives a nice point of view on where your material is headed. So, did you have other jokes?
Good joke.
Yeah?
No. I just kind of went for the ride with him, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, me too. It was fun. You actually gave me a new idea too for this podcast. Just an idea that if sometime we actually talk back to the comic when they're doing their set to loosen up and get it more conversational.
Oh yeah, heckle the comic.
Yeah. Heckling, just, might be kind of an interesting idea. But I was trying to do that to lighten it up.
Do you do a lot of crowd work?
I like to, just if something comes up, I like to just, kind of like what you said, feel like I'm in the moment. If someone says something, be able to just be like, hey.
You can't ignore it.
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Don't
like.
ignore it. You're good at it.
Eat at it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know how to handle it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should do more of it, I think.
How much? So you've been at it for about three and a half years, and you were in New York, and then came to LA.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And so did you start stand up in New York?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so just honestly, how much time would you say that you have?
Wait, how much time?
How much material time?
Oh, okay. I would say this is always a tough one for me. 'Cause it's like, well, I could get on stage and do a good hour and a half.
Don't say that. Don't say
I could
that.
do like, I did. Well, for example, I did Flappers Claremont. I featured a few like a month ago, and it was just like 15-minute spots and stuff, and that was great. And I felt like I had. Oh, is my mic too? Is it?
You're okay.
Can we all hear?
Yeah.
We're good. But I would say I could do a half hour.
Okay.
And be
So the 15 minutes, did that feel like a sweet spot? Did that feel like about right for you?
15 was great, but it was also like the great part is because then you're not like I just have to stick to material. You know, you're like I have some leeway to do crowd work and know I can still get to all the stuff I want to say.
Right. And what's great when you do longer time is that you don't spend your time thinking about the time. You can just enjoy the show that you're involved in.
Yeah, it was so good. But I wanted more time because I was like, this is so. I mean, it's just so hard to come by longer sets, you know.
Right,
I mean?
and we use that Claremont
Middle
15-minute
spot for that
specifically
exact
for
reason.
people that have been coming through the auditions, have done a nice job for us in the Yoo-Hoo Room, have done the three things, been supportive of the club, been professional, always funny, and we try to use that to help guys like you develop and get those longer chunks without having to go to East Buffalo.
And it was so good. Like 4 spots, I was like so pumped to get to. Yeah, you guys are great. You guys are great.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. But
so
thank you so much. I hope it was helpful. Do you have anything for him, Josh, before we let him
No, it was
out?
great. I loved it.
I know. Yeah, you're really likable on stage. I mean,
thank you.
and like I said, I think the only thing missing for me is that whole package. Like, think about, I tell everyone, when you get on stage, it's like your business card. You are your business card.
Right.
And how do you want people to remember you when they leave? Like, what is the impression that you want them to leave with?
And one of the things that I would say is, and I always tell this, and I try to live this in my own comedy, which is that the more authentic and the more personal you are, the more vulnerable you're willing to be, the more impact and the more memorable and the more of a signature you'll have as a comedian. So it's nice that you're starting talking about the daughter, and you got this nice intimate thing about how you found out. There's obviously, then you just did 3 minutes, but there's obviously so much more to that. And so what's great is that I want to hear the rest of it. You know what I mean? What's it like, having a 4-year-old and being here trying to be a comic,
And you look like a kid yourself. It's kind of funny. Like, here's my little girl,
No, this isn't my sister, guys. Crazy.
Ah, there you go.
But no, thank you guys very much.
Thank you
This is super
so
fun.
much, Brandon.
Thanks.
We'll be seeing you again very soon. I have a feeling.
Thank you so much.
All right, Dave, thanks for butting in on our podcast
Yeah,
today.
I'm just passing
That
through.
was awesome.
I gotta go. count
You're
the-
leaving? We have to do all the other announcements. Come on. Who's
All
playing
right.
in Claremont this week?
Who is playing? Who's the headliner in Claremont this weekend? It is. Oh God, you never get.
Oh, Dave
No,
Reinitz.
no.
Come
I
on.
know.
Who's the
I know.
headliner in Burbank this
Burbank is
weekend?
Greg Hahn.
The
amazing Greg Hahn and
amazing-
his Dat fan in Claremont.
There we go.
The amazing
Right.
Dat
The-
fan.
who won
The
the
original-
original the first last comic standing.
Such an interesting comic, such a high energy guy, really a fun show. If you're in Claremont, it's a rare opportunity to see him.
So engaging too,
Yeah.
and on talk very vulnerable, and that guy is such a technician too.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, he
amazing
really.
the stuff that he puts in his hair. You've got to see that in his hair.
All right. Other stuff. Please don't forget to download our Flap app. It really is amazing. You get celebrity alerts, and like this past Sunday, Charlie Murphy dropped in, and we were able to let all our folks who have our app know that he was coming. We also had Tom Wilson here and Fred Willard. I mean, it was like an amazing night. So if you don't have the app, you may not find out about those things. So please download it, and also we're doing great deals and discounts on the app as well. We also would love to get some more feedback. We know we have about 7,000 listeners on this podcast so far, but we don't get to get
And we have some in
much.
China as well.
Yeah, we did. We looked at our demo, and we've got people. 7% of our listeners are not even in the U.S.
That's
So,
right.
but send us an email, letters@flapcast.com, and let us know what you think about
Or
the
don't do
show.
that. Send it to promotions@flapperscomedy.com.
Okay, well,
Or
Send it to
mail, or
yeah.
mail a letter. Put it in a mailbox.
Don't mail the letter. Don't
Handwrite
mail
with
the
a
letter.
stamp.
Don't waste the paper.
No,
Don't
put
waste
it in
the
a
paper.
mailbox with a stamp. Let a man bring it to the house.
Anyway, what we're trying to say
Promotions at
is let us know
102
what you
East Magnolia
think
Street, Burbank, California.
and who you want to
9.
hear on the podcast. And Dave will be quiet now
1502.
as we are going to close this Flapcast. Much
right.
calmer than we started, I think.
Yes, I think, yeah. That's
Be-
fun.
This is so fun.
Yeah,
Thank you
the
for
three
letting
things
me
to
be a
remember:
part of
be
this.
professional, be supportive, and be funny.
Yeah.
And we would love to book you and have you here at Flappers Comedy Club. Thanks to everyone for listening. Please keep supporting the Flapcast Behind the Funny. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Barbara Holliday.
I'm Joshua Snyder.
We'll see you next week.
I'm Dave Reinitz. I missed the cue. What happened? Is it over? The mic's dead.